So if you haven't mastered simplifying fractions yet, make sure that you watch the full length of this video. And also, please memorize, if you can, your multiplication facts. It's really going to help you out. Now, let's talk about simplifying fractions using your multiplication chart. Now, when we simplify fractions, we always hear our teachers saying, you need to reduce the fraction to its lowest term. What does that mean? It means that we can no longer divide the fraction by any other number except for 1. Okay? So when we divide fractions, we need to think about a factor or a number that we can divide evenly into your numerator and your denominator. Now remember, these two numbers should be the same number, okay? So it should be the same number. Now, where can we find these factors or the numbers to divide into using the multiplication chart? Now, you can find these factors on the top and on this side right here. So these are the numbers that we can use as our factors when we simplify fractions. And I'll show you how, okay? Now, let's start with our first fraction, which is 12 over 14. So when we simplify these, we need to think about a number or a factor that we can evenly divide into 12 and 14. So the way I use it, I'm going to look for 12 and 14 in the multiplication chart inside this table. So now let me look. 12 and 14. Oh, I have 12 here and 14 here. Now, when you look for these two numbers, make sure that they are on the same column or row. So this will be in the same row for the factor 2. I can also see here 12 and 14, which is the same column for, again, 2. So this is for 2 here, and this one right here, let me use another color for the other 2. Either or, it's okay. You can use either of these setup, okay? Now, since we know that 12 and 14 is under the same row or column, which is under 2, then I can use the number or the factor 2 to divide evenly into 12 and 14. So 12 divided by 2 is what? 6. And how do we know that? Now, check this out. 12 divided by 2, and the answer is on the other is on the top one, 6, because we know 2 times 6 is 12. So inverse operation of multiplication is division. So that's why 12 divided by 6 is 2 and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So it helps if you know your multiplication facts. Now 14 divided by 2 will get us, what's in here? 7. So 7. So our simplest form will be 6 and 7. Why simplest form? Because 6 and 7 falls under the same column for 1. We can no longer divide 6 and 7 evenly with any other number except for 1. So this is the simplest form already. Okay? Pretty easy, right? So let me delete these so it's clear for the next example. Now for our next example, let me erase this part, would be 15 over 60. Now you can pause the video and then play it again once you're done. So it's going to be 15 over 60. Now, most students would look for 15 and 16 right away, and they would say, hey, I see 15 here, and I also see 16 here. Would that be okay? It's under the same column for 5. So that means I can divide 15 and 60 by 5. So now I know that 15 divided by 5 will get me 3. And I know 60 divided by 5 would get me 12. Now, is this the simplest form? Absolutely not, because we already know that 3 and 12 has a common factor. And we can see here 3 and 12. Now, you see here 3 and you see here 12. It's under the factor of 3. Now you might say, how about this one? I see 3 here and 12 here. Remember, if we can find the other factors greater than 1, then we use that, okay? If you simplify it by dividing by 1, the number will stay the same. So we're going to use the factor 3 to simplify 3 over 12. So I'm going to divide 3 by 3 and 12 by 3. So 3 divided by 3, we know it's 1, and 12 divided by 3, we know it's 4. And this is our simplest form. Now remember, 3 divided by 3 gives you 1, and 12 divided by 3 will give you 4. So, but can I just divide it using another factor? Yes, you can. Now, let's look for other numbers or other columns or rows that has 15 and 16 on it. I see here 15. Oops, excuse me. I see here 15, and I also see 60. It's under 15. So this is the greatest common factor, is 15. So that means if I have 15 over 60, I can directly or immediately reduce this by dividing by 15. So 15 divided by 15 will give you 1. And 60 divided by 15 will give you 4. It's helpful, right? So it's easier when you look for the greatest common factor, the number that can evenly divide into both the numerator and denominator. Now you can practice more if you want to. Hope this helps.